A summer night at the shore with your friends feels like the pinnacle of teenage freedom. You're removed from the real world, surrounded by wealth and water. But that same isolation that makes a beach house the perfect getaway turns it into a pitch-black, exposed target once the sun goes down. Take Long Beach Island, a highly sought-after stretch of the New Jersey coast. During the day, it's an idyllic, safe haven for vacationing families. That baseline of daytime safety lulls people, especially unsupervised 16-year-olds, into a false sense of total security. The house sits on a lagoon, facing a narrow channel with houses on the opposite bank. It features ground-floor sliding doors, an upper deck, and an exterior spiral staircase, allowing anyone to walk straight up to the second-story deck without entering. This open-air architectural design is fantastic for catching a sea breeze, but from a security standpoint, it creates multiple external points of exposure. The house invites the outside in, which is exactly the problem. Our group of 6 teenagers was completely oblivious to these vulnerabilities. They were having a late-night pool party, music playing, drinking, and smoking. Their senses were clouded, their attention entirely on each other. Then, the homeowner's son abruptly reached over and killed the music. The backyard went dead silent. He stared right past his friends, peering into the pitch-black void of the lagoon. The rest of the group turned to look, but it was too dark to make out anything on the opposite bank. Then, a passing car on the road behind them cast its headlights across the water. The brief flash of light revealed 4 tall silhouettes standing side by side at the very edge of the opposite dock. They couldn't make out faces or clothing, but one detail was unmistakable. The figures weren't just standing there. They were facing directly toward the teenagers. The group had been watched. In an instant, the physical geography of the property flipped. The scenic water feature in their backyard was suddenly the only barrier separating them from an immediate, unknown threat. Before anyone could process what to do, 4 distinct splashes rang out in the darkness. The figures had jumped in. They were swimming across the narrow lagoon, directly toward the house. The teenagers went into a blind panic. They rushed out of the pool, sprinted inside, and slammed the heavy sliding door shut, locking it. They scrambled to the front, securing the main entrance, and huddled together in a central room. Downstairs, they felt momentarily secure, but in the chaos of a rapidly escalating threat, someone remembered a fatal oversight. In their rush, they had forgotten to lock the sliding glass door on the upper deck. Remember the home's leisure-focused architecture. The exterior spiral staircase offered a direct bypass. The intruders didn't need to break through the locked ground floor. They could simply climb the steps and walk right into the unprotected second level. Structural security is an illusion if a single vulnerability is overlooked. A fortress with a locked front gate is useless if you leave the drawbridge down. Sitting in the dark, the group waited in silence. Then they heard it. The soft, quiet thud of wet footsteps moving directly above their heads. The perimeter had been breached. The 6 of them were cornered on the ground floor, intoxicated and entirely unarmed. Fighting was not an option. They had to abandon the house immediately. They bolted out the front door and scrambled into the driver's car. The panic was absolute. In his rush to start the engine and get out of the driveway, the teenage driver threw it in reverse, completely destroying the family's mailbox before speeding off. When a physical sanctuary is violently violated, the primal flight response takes over. Rational thought and coordination evaporate. All that matters is putting distance between you and the threat. Once the teenagers were safely away, they called the police. When authorities finally cleared the house, they found the entire second floor stripped of its valuables. But the thieves didn't flee on foot. They took the family's mid-sized boat, a Boston whaler, right off the dock to use as their getaway vehicle. Here is where the timeline of events becomes deeply unsettling. The thieves didn't hotwire the boat. The father kept a spare set of ignition keys hidden inside a small, obscure hatch located below the steering wheel. The police concluded the perpetrators bypassed the locks and that the parents were away in Florida for the week. The precision of the hit transforms the event from a random intrusion into a calculated betrayal. By knowing the floor plan, the hidden keys, and the vacancy schedule, the perpetrators proved that the ultimate threat likely lived within their own social circle. Fast forward to the following year. The younger brother of the family takes a new boat out with friends, for an illegal night trip near Carl Island, a remote stretch of the Foresight Wildlife Refuge. Out there in the dark, they spot an older boat anchored offshore. As they swim out to investigate, they realize it is the exact Boston whaler that was stolen from their home. The teenagers swim back to the beach, trying to figure out what to do. They turn around to see a man walking purposefully toward them. As he picks up his pace into a full sprint, they notice a terrifying detail. The man is carrying a shovel. The boys barely make it back to their boat to escape. To this day, no arrests have been made. The sighting proves the perpetrators didn't just dump the boat and disappear. They are still actively operating in the shadows of those local waterways. Physical locks and architectural barriers are only effective if your operational security is intact. If the wrong people know where you hide your keys or when you're leaving town, no amount of deadbolts can make a home truly secure.